the Irrational Confidence Podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Irrational Confidence Podcast. We're talking college football, and it was a wild week number 2. There were upset galore. There were comebacks. There were last-minute field goals. There's everything and anything in between. If you're a college football fan, well, hey, week 2 was for you. And it just was a glorious week number 2 because a team from Austin traveled to a city called Ann Arbor and put the boots to them as they boat raced them. But my friend, the man who will never root for his rival no matter who they're playing. Fresh, how you doing, buddy?
That's, like you said, a glorious Saturday. I think I texted you late yesterday. Twitter, X, Twix, whatever you want to call it, is absolutely amazing on a college football Saturday, unless your team gets boat raced or beat. Because that is utter disaster, and you're trying to hide from the world. A little word associations to start off here. We're looking at the games we saw happen yesterday. Oregon, by word association, sloppy. Notre Dame, LOL. You can't laugh at that any more than anything. Alabama, I'm not falling for this struggle versus USCF nonsense ever again. It terrifies me that they play this bad against USF and then they're going to come out and just take care of business the rest of the year. So whatever happened in that whole game, let it go. Michigan, they are who we thought they were. Everyone, no college stallions. They had no talent. We know who they are.
They got talent on that defense, but still, they're out there way too long.
They're playing with their arm behind their back the entire time. That offense is abysmal. Tennessee, I hate to say it, but that team looks electric. NC State on the exact opposite. Woof. Oh, Steve Wilson, disaster.
USC, how about that defense?
USC plays some defense. I mean, Utah State obviously, but they went out to shut out Utah State. So there was some efforts across the board. This week was a true teller. Week 2 was a true teller for a lot of programs.
All right, Fresh, let's start with this then. What was we watched a ton, and I mean, guys, I have 4 games up on, I have way to watch 4 games. I had 4 games up at one point. Fresh, there's a lot of candidates for best game of the weekend. I know what mine is. What you got for you?
We're going to Stillwater, Oklahoma, folks.
Oh, that's a great one.
The Razorbacks, the Cowposts, Sam Pittman, Mike Johnny, 2 very charismatic, very charismatic coaches. Arkansas 21-7.5. We get 70 total points, double overtime, over 1,000 yards total offense. It was an amazing affair. Arkansas, they're going to get somebody in the SEC this year, maybe even 2 teams, the way they look. Yes, Arkansas climbed up the first week. They scored 10 touchdowns, but that same team showed up in Stillwater against a pretty veteran football team, and they put on numbers. So if you have Arkansas on your schedule, watch out. Oklahoma State, maybe you sleptwalk a little bit. That defense, you got to start tighten up a little bit. You found ways to win. You know, that's good teams advanced, but that was a heck of a ball game right there.
Right. Fresh, I love that one. Sam Pittman, I kind of feel bad because his teams play really, really well, and he doesn't have the same level of resources as an Alabama or an LSU or Georgia or even maybe even Florida or Tennessee. And he still is a respectable coach and has Arkansas respectable every single year. He's going to wind up getting fired, though.
Yeah, they don't get blown out that much, and they have especially like SEC, they have the divisions. The SEC West is already one of the toughest divisions in football.
It was the toughest.
And having to navigate the LSUs, the Ole Misses, the Auburns, the Alabamas, and then occasional crossovers from the East. That's a tough schedule for them to go through. If he gets 6-6 this year, I think that's helpful. If he's 7-5, that's a great situation. So we'll see. Obviously, Bobby Petrino, their run that offense is going to help, but they've got to keep just playing it, be hungry, be feisty, and they'll get an upset here by the end.
Yeah. My favorite game this weekend was in Iowa City, man. It was the Cyhawk game. I told you guys during the preview, it was 36.5 was the over-under. I said, don't be afraid to bet the over on this game. Matt Campbell and a game-winning field goal to beat the Hawkeyes. It was an incredible game. Guys, if you love just really 2 evenly matched teams that are going to just try to take shots at each other all game long and beat each other up. This was a 15-round prize fight of a game where they traded a punch here and there, and they kind of tried to play. They were both kind of on the defensive side of it, and who was going to be able to win on the points at the end of the 15 rounds. I love this game. This is one of my favorite rivalries that I get to watch every single year. Probably Red River is probably up there as well with this one. But gosh, this is such a good game.
I mean, I took the under in the first half. That hit, and I took the over for the ball game. That hit. The tail of two halves, too. Iowa dominated the first half. Iowa didn't look at everything, and then the Cyclones, like a tornado does, they appeared out of nowhere, and they took over the second half and found ways to win. Great rivalry. Big win for Matt Campbell there to help build that keep that program momentum going. Iowa, there's a funny thing. Without Kirk Ferentz on the sideline, they scored 40 points. With them, they scored 19. And if you didn't listen to our preview episode, I said, 7-16, I think, the final, or something like that. So it was all points, or 18-17, something like there. So 1 point ball game, either way. Great affair, very intense. College football rivalry that you want to see right there happen, where every play matters.
Yeah, the interesting thing, too, if you take a look at Iowa State's schedule going forward, this team, the schedule kind of shapes up real nicely for them. They got an opportunity to maybe get to 7-0, 8, maybe. They got that trip to Morgantown, which will be tough. But, man, good job out of the Cyclones. All right, Fresh, there's a lot of candidates for this one. Dud of the week. There's a lot of candidates for this one.
I think we're going to plural here. Duds of the week. I got a few. So, first off, Kentucky Wildcats in general. Wow. You got Kershaw at home for South Carolina, who struggled with ODU. This is the third straight time you have lost to Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks. Brock Vandegrift, hey, I love you, dude. You're back up to Georgia. You won a couple titles with us. You did not look very good out there on Saturday afternoon. That defense didn't look good. Mark Stoops, are you trying to sandbag everyone and think that, hey, we'll lose to South Carolina, upset Georgia next week? Here in Georgia, Kirby, Georgia fan base. So let's not even worry about this thing. Just focus on Kentucky. Don't think that they just lost South Carolina, got vote race. Just go and take care of business because the last two trips have not been exactly eventful for the Dogs. But Kentucky, awful showing, completely just laid a massive egg. You lost to Cal. You lost to Cal at home.
Cal.
Payne Thorne is not the answer, folks. But 5 turnovers, you lost 21-14 to Cal. Go to a toilet paper in a toilet, not in a tree. That's all we use for it right now.
It just means more, though, Fresh. Just means something. More.
The little town, the little village on the plains is probably really rowdy right now. Came back there. You threw 2 picks and you cost your team the ball game. You had a chance to win and you blew it for Iowa. That might come back to haunt you later. And I mean, NC State. I expected Tennessee to win, but you completely no-showed. Grayson McCall, you looked like a Sun Belt quarterback. I'm sorry. That was a terrible showing by yourself and by the program. And Dave Dorn, we thought you maybe had something built. That 10-win season looking a little iffy now with that drubbing you took to the Vols.
Fresh, I got one number for you for my dud of the week. $0.4 million. $1.4 million. That is what the University of Notre Dame paid to lose to Northern Illinois, a MAC team. 16-14. Ugly showing by the Irish, man. The funny thing is you're down 13-7 at halftime. And everyone was like, oh, Riley Leonard will be so much better quarterback. Again, the funniest thing is that Notre Dame's defense still looked pretty good in this game. But, my gosh, that offense was awful. Was downright awful for them. I'm also going to go Penn State. Penn State, you still won. And, again, you got to win the week. Go 1-0 every single week. You're doing okay. But, man, Bowling Green was in this game with a lead into the midway to the third quarter. Now, we were all excited because our producer, Drew, is a Bowling Green alumni. That's exciting times for us, especially when we get some action. And again, MACtion is fun because there are some really good, plucky teams in the MAC that's fun as well. And again, the other dud of the week, and again, this one is a little sad on my heart here, is Dave Aranda. You and Sam Pittman are racing for the first coach to be fired this year.
Oh, so, no, we got a guy over here in Gainesville that might be in the punch, but they're all on the run in there.
Bubble Skin Billy might be there too. Seriously. All right, Fresh. Now, put it down.
Before we move on. So there's a little subcontext of that $1.4 million about Notre Dame. So we all have college football 25, and we all have a group of guys that are off play. One of our buddies, Lance, is a big Notre Dame fan. He's actually a Notre Dame. And one of the rules is if you play the football game and there's a technology issue or you're getting your butt whooped and you want to restart, you got to throw money in the pot. So as soon as this happened, our buddy Steve-O puts in the group text, so how much is that money? How much is that going to be in the pot to have Notre Dame restart the football game? And our buddy Lance came back like, I don't know, probably I pay $1 million right now. And that's when we looked up to 1.4. So we were pretty close. But it got a lot of laughs. It's right on point.
Right, 1.4 million. But Fresh, let me go back and ask you this question. Pittman, Miranda, Napier. Who's the first losing their job? It's sad, too.
And it has to be Napier because the pressure at Florida is so high from the fan base perspective. Florida football really only started in 1992 when Steve Spurrier showed up. The years before that, they were an F program. Spurrier had his Heisman in '66, but they were really the '70s and '80s. They had some scandals going on. Like the football fans weren't there until Spurrier arrived and started putting whoopings on people and becoming a force. Arkansas, I think they understand who they are, and they know Sam Pittman's not doing anything wrong. Like he's built a program, he's trying. The guys were there, so look, you give them a little bit of a leash. Baylor, they've had some off the field issues in the past, so maybe Dave Aranda keeping that program in shape, within the locker rooms. At Florida, they expect to win big, and they don't expect to win like 23-20. They want 45, 50 points a game.
Right.
Napier coming in under Saban, that lineage. We had Clemson or Dabo. Him talking about, scare money, don't make no money, and all those little sayings. That like everything after you're on the hot seat, and then calling out rural Central Florida people in their basement, which, again, Billy, it's Florida. We live here. Nobody has basement. They're not in their basements.
I take Claremont, Florida does have basements. It's the mountains of Florida.
Might be a hill or two in Mount Dora, or they are, maybe around Ocala, but they're not many. Most of them are in the shacks or, at some location. So you've already irritated. I used a better term there. I want to say something different. You've irritated a lot of people in that alumni base and that fan base, and your lack of energy, your lack of discipline on that football team. That's why he's number one on the list. But Tennessee, looking as they are, and after losing last year, after going over Knoxville, that could even be the last straw for him.
Right. All right, Fresh, winners of the week. We got a couple of good ones here. Who you got as a winner? I got two really, really big ones. I think three.
Studs of the week?
Yep.
Arizona State. If you were up late last night, Arizona State and Stadabo, or Stadabo, I love the name. Can't pronounce it though. 33 carries, 262, and the 3 receptions for 33 yards. He was the leading rusher and leading receiver for the Sun Devils there. Almost 300 yards total offense in a win over Mississippi State. It's a big time there for Arizona State. Rutgers running back Kyle Monagai, 208 and 3 touchdowns for the Scarlet Knights in their win. And then Kyle McCord, I think he's feeling free right now, I think, and the pressure of not playing at Ohio State. And he went off 381 force fights for Syracuse and Fran Brown getting yesterday with Georgia Tech. Big props to both of them, but that was pretty cool.
Fresh, I'm going to go to Columbus for my first one just because I wanted to see if you do it 2 weeks in a row. Jeremiah Smith, 18-year-old kid. Holy smokes. As we were talking off air, I have never, it's been a long time. I shouldn't say never, but it's been a long time since I've been this excited about a kid that's a freshman. The kid is a monster. That kid is, as you were kind of saying, might be NFL ready already. And I just am so excited that the Buckeyes are going to get 3 years of him because he is an absolute beast on the outside. So good job out of him. I had Kyle McCord as well. Also, I watched again a lot of that Syracuse Georgia Tech game, and he looked really, really good. It's kind of where I felt like he was playing a little bit looser. The pressure was off. Nico over at Tennessee as well. But ladies and gentlemen, I do have one surprise winner for this week that Fresh and I haven't even talked about yet. And that is my co-host Fresh this week is a winner. Why? Because he has taught my 5-year-old son who walked around the entire house after the game and said, Mr. Fresh said Notre Dame is poop. And said it for the entire afternoon. There's a whole other side story for that, but I have not laughed that hard this afternoon about something my kid has done since he walked around and said, Notre Dame is poop.
I'm proud to wear that honor. I'm proud to wear that honor. I'll accept that award.
That's a winner as well right there. All right, Fresh. Let's go to our top 15 after week number 2. What do you got?
I'm a dog, so I'm going to put Georgia at number 1. Texas is number 2 for me. That effort, look, they shut it down in the second half. They were up 24-3 at halftime, and that was it could have gotten real ugly if they wanted to pour it on. Ohio State 3, Tennessee moved up to 4. They didn't just beat NC State; they eviscerated the Wolfpack.
Wow.
USC at 5, Ole Miss at 6, Missouri at 7. Just because Ole Miss and Missouri haven't really played anybody yet. Utah at 8. I'm worried about the injury to Cam Rising. Had his finger on his throwing hand. I'll let impact the team the rest of the way. Miami at 9, Oregon at 10. That lackluster effort versus Boise State in week 4 versus Idaho, it's worrisome. Kansas State, I expected a little bit more of an effort early on, but she did survive in advance and beat Tulane in the rain. Penn State dropped to 12. That effort with Bowling Green after what we did at West Virginia, it left me wanting more. Alabama at 13. I'm
Wow, you
not
really
into
talked
that.
to Alabama.
They look like trash. But I'm still worried that they're going to show up as a different team up in Madison, and obviously it's Tuscaloosa versus Dogs, so they should play up. And that worries me that they're just all the same bag of people. Louisville at 14. And it was real tough, but Oklahoma State, the way they fought back and survived and able to just deal with the pain and overcome Arkansas there, I'll put them at 15. Arizona did not look good. They dropped out. Oklahoma did not look good. They dropped out. Notre Dame, obviously, and Michigan drops very, very far, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right, Presh. Well, at number 1 right now, I have the Ohio State. They have boat raced both teams that they've played and just been absolutely dominant. I think there's a difference between the top 3 teams are kind of in like a tier 1 bracket, and then kind of there's a gap in between 3 and 4 there. I have Georgia at number 2 as well, and I think the difference between Ohio State and Georgia is like razor thin margin. And I would even put, after watching that Texas Wolverines game, I'm going to go with Texas at number 3 right now. Those are my top 3 teams. At number 4, this one really took a lot of debate from me. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to put Ole Miss at number 4 right now. People know that I doubt Lane Train and everything is done, but the first 2 weeks with what he's been able to do, it's been very, very impressive. Number 5 for me, I'm going to put Tennessee there. Number 6, USC. I'm jumping USC really, really high up there. Number 7 is going to be Alabama. I think that they played down to their competition. Number 8, I got Oregon as well. Like you said with Kansas State, they're fresh. Tulane was a very good team. We felt the same way about Boise State. Now, while Boise State could have had that game won last night, I'm still should have, but Oregon pulled it off. And hey, survive in advance with them. So I got Oregon at what I had to say, number 8. Miami is going up to number 9. That Hurricanes team is looking as good as they thought it could look. I got Penn State at 10. Utah is going to be my number 11 team. Utah just completely dominated Baylor in that game.
I'm not gonna lie. I was dying laughing watching the 2 guys on the block field goal for the touchdown with the high five each other at the 10-yard line. That made I was in tears laughing so hard.
Right. I have them at 11. I'm sitting here and going back. I've been kind of these other teams I kind of have in between with that. I got Oklahoma. I'm going to give Oklahoma State some credit and put them at 12 because of that comeback and being able to come back on Arkansas when, a lot of teams just could have shut it down the first half. And they fought and they were gritty and they win in overtime. So I got OK State at 12. I got Missouri at 13. I'm going to go Kansas State at 14 there. And then my 15 team, again, this is where I get in something tough here. I really like Louisville, but they haven't really impressed me much. If Georgia Tech would have won this game, I think I would have had Georgia Tech at number 15. I'm going to throw Oklahoma there at 15. Again, I'm not real happy about how they played against Houston. But again, I also think that they could have lost that game and they survived. They survived in advance. They go on, I think, a little bit better than that 0-2 record is. I think
really got them playing better than what they were at Dan Holderson's time.
Right. And so that's where I struggle with them, but they got Houston's got defense. They got to do a lot of work on that offense. So that's my top 15. If Arizona would have just completely destroyed Northern Arizona, I probably would have thrown Arizona up there after their 2 wins. Iowa State also was a candidate for me just because that was such a huge win. And I think Iowa State is going to wind up being in our top 15 in the very near future, seeing how their team works out. Fresh, this was such one of those just great weekends of college football. Like this is why we love college football. This is why Fresh and I do this podcast.
It's the gift that keeps on giving every single week. I mean, you got crazy things that just happen out of nowhere that cause people to just sort of just drop their job. Like, wow, and teams you got to play every single week. You got to show up every single week. That's for survive in advance. Look, in the playoff year now, we have the expanded playoffs. Going undefeated is going to be extremely rare. And there's a very, 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 very good situation that no playoff team enters the playoff undefeated. It's just going to happen. It's who you lose to, how you lose to. We have to start treating this now like the NFL, where you've got to get a team with a loss or two in there. Can you stay healthy? Can you keep, understand momentum and be ready to rock and roll from December and January? But that's where the chaos ensues, where 1 or 2 losses doesn't eliminate you unless you're Florida State. And you have to just keep advancing and keep punching through every single week. 1 point over the opponent is all that matters. Style points don't matter as much anymore. The AP poll doesn't matter anymore.
No.
You keep stacking W's and moving forward.
Right. And this goes back to our whole principle of it. Fresh and I have taken this stance of, we saw a couple of years ago that people would say that there's only good football played in 1 or 2 places in America. And this is a weekend that proves kind of what we think is that on any given week, you can see these unbelievable college football games throughout this entire country. And we talk about that Oregon Boise State game. And if you stayed up till 1 a.m. when that game got over, Eastern time,
Peacock.
And at Peacock, you saw a ridiculously good football game, and it reminded me almost a little bit of the NCAA tournament when you see that underdog about ready to pull the upset against a 1 or 2 seed, pulling for that team, and wind up, the favorite winds up winning. They don't cover the spread or anything like that. You're kind of whatever you have with that going on, but it showed that this is a great football game, and that's the principle behind everything. There's great football being played everywhere. There's great games being played everywhere, and there's so much. I don't think the talent level and the parity level, I think we got 3 really great teams in college football. We still got a long way to go. We're only 2 weeks in, but everything after those top 3, I think there's a boatload of parity in college football right now.
I mean, you kind of look at it. So we're going to go to Tuscaloosa in a couple of weeks. Which Alabama team will show up there? Which Georgia team will show up there? How's had trouble with the Tide and fast? And then a couple weeks later, they got to go to Austin. We're going to get Georgia at Texas. In the past, that might actually determine one of the 4 playoff seeds or who's the national championship, without the playoff or any of the bowl system existing. Now that's like, all right, it's a benchmark. It might be a seeding perspective, but unless once you get blown out, it's not going to have too much of an impact on if they're a playoff team. You just can't let that 1 loss turn into 2, turn into 3, turn into 4.
Yeah, and look at Ohio State now. We talked about how their schedule doesn't really start until the month of November. But you take a look at the end of September that's coming up. You go at Michigan State coming from behind, beating Maryland at Maryland. Aiden Childs looks pretty good. Iowa played in a barn burner. You have to go to Eugene on the 12th of October. And then Nebraska, we didn't even talk at all about Nebraska boat racing Colorado. And then you have to go to Happy Valley the following week. So you have a 5-week stretch there where we didn't think that would be that tough, but that would be really, really tough. And again, even Texas, what Texas has what they're going to have to go through here in a little bit as well. Take a look at their schedule. Yeah, they get a couple of cupcakes here, but starting in the second week of October, you go Red River, you got UGA come in. Yeah, you get Vandy and Florida, but then you have to listen. Sam Pittman, we talked about at the beginning of the show. Arkansas, they're tough.
It's gonna be a stretch, and every single week's gonna matter. And that's where I think you have to keep the kids focused on. Look, 1 play at a time. button up your chin straps, ready to go. We cannot overlook opponents because a loss won't end your season, but it puts it in a situation where now you have to be perfect, or seeding comes into play. Do you want to go on the road in December, or do you want to host a game or have a bye? Like, that's the sort of mindset the coaches and the team have to have.
Yeah. This has been a great weekend, folks. Hey, before you head out of here, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We are less than 100 subscribers away from 2,000. So if you're watching this video and you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button for us. You get notified every single time we drop a new episode. Special thanks to our producer, Drew. Without him, none of this is possible. The Irrational Competence Podcast is part of Spinnable Sports, so make sure you go in spinnablesports.com. Yes, spinnablesports.com. Check out all the stuff. We got an NFL-filled day for football on this Sunday here that we're recording. Fresh, we got a week number 3, while on paper looks a little bit light, but I don't know. Maybe week 2 is going to lead into week 3.
As this week showed, never underestimate the schedule. Just go out there and take care of business and enjoy the chaos.
Absolutely. All right, folks. Remember, like, subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. Leave us that 5-star review, because you guys know Fresh and I, we're those 2 5-star prospects. Interact with us on the X or the Twitter or whatever you call it. Like us on all those social medias. Leave a comment down in the comment section below. We read them. We interact with you guys. We are not a podcast that doesn't engage with our fans. We love talking college football, no matter if you guys like us, hate us as well. Hey, I went 2-1 on my Brown Water bet, so I'm happy about that. But Fresh, it's been a great week number 2. It's been an awesome week. And now, let's get ready for week number 3.
Week number 3 is on its way, everybody. Continue to keep interacting. Hit our website, hit our YouTube channel, subscribe, spread the word. And with that, we'll see you in week 3. Bye, y'all.